What's up, everybody? It's your friend Mark Walberg. Welcome to Bonfire Talks with me and my good friend and producer, Kaylin Bean.
Hello.
Hello, Kaylin with a limp Bean.
Yeah.
What's up with the limp, dude?
I rolled my ankle the other day, and it just has taken a long time to heal.
Have you found that things that used to take like a minute to heal are taking much longer to heal?
That and I didn't go to the doctor either because it'll just fix itself. So I didn't.
It'll just fix. You obviously have the same healthcare plan emotionally that I have.
Yeah.
Which is rub some dirt on it and it'll go away.
Exactly.
Well, I'm sorry that you're in pain. And I've missed you while I've been gone.
I missed you too.
I'm glad to be back. A lot has happened. I have been all over. So let's talk about that. But then today, I've got a topic I want to talk about. But then I want to play a little game with you folks who are listening. But first, let's recap where I've been, because I've been on tour with Wheel of Fortune Live, where I had made a conscious decision, and I spoke about this on my Very Heavy podcast episode a couple weeks ago, that I was going to use this silly little game show as a chance to just be a vehicle or a vessel of peace and communication and inclusivity and fun. And I even said it, and the response was really interesting, Kaylin. I even said it on stage. I usually do some shtick, and I come out on stage and they applaud and they introduce me, and they play this horrible video that's like from 1940 of me doing.
Pull that mic in a little bit closer to you.
Don't yell at me. The way it goes is I'm working with this guy, Cody Dove, who, by the way, Cody Dove, look him up. He's just the greatest. He's an improviser. He's an actor. He's a terrific guy. I really love being on the road with him. And he starts the show and introduces, welcomes everybody and gets us all hyped, and then introduces me. They roll a clip reel that is horrible. It literally has, like the Temptation Island clip it has is from 2001. So it's just terrible. But nonetheless, that's what it is. And so then I come out on stage, and sometimes I'll do some bit. I do a Mark Walberg joke because, I don't know if you've noticed, but I have the same name as a famous actor, which is a thing. But lately I haven't been doing that. There's enough people in the audience that kind of know who I am. This is, by the way, a big step in the Kaylin Bean rehabilitation plan of me not making this a thing. But it's been interesting that a lot of people have been in the audience. They know exactly who I am, and that's great. And then I've been kind of just trying to set the stage for what the day is going to be, the show. It's a celebration of America's game, Wheel of Fortune, blah, 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 blah. Then I've been saying something to the effect of, I'll tell you why I like to do this. And this is as close as I can get to anything political on this stage. But I've been saying, look, you all have your beliefs, your feelings, your day-to-day stress, and if you're like me, just opening up your Instagram, looking at your phone is insane stress with what's going on in the world. And it's the speed at which information is coming at us that's like upsetting is, lightning speed. So my commitment tonight is that for 90 minutes, your biggest concern is, should you buy a vowel? And when you look to the right and to the left of the people who are in the audience with you, let this be sort of I don't say it like this because it needs to be entertaining, but I say let this be a beacon of hope that you're looking to the right and left of you, to strangers who are in a room, and you have something in common. You like this game, and that's why you're here, and you're enjoying it together. So if we can do this for 90 minutes without anything else coming into play, that we can literally sit next to one another and do this, then that says to me that the narrative that we're being sold of the right and the left, that both sides are evil, isn't exactly what the truth is for those of us who are just living our lives. And so, it's sort of a lofty way to get into doing a game show, but the response has been really unbelievable to that. I don't do it that heady. I kind of do it a little quicker than that, but the response from the audience is like, oh, thank God, just let's not go there today. And so that's been great. The other thing that's been great, and I want to give a shout out in case any of them are listening to this podcast, is that the entire crew I'm working with, Kaylin, we're on this bus. Yeah. It's this big red bus, and we're sleeping on the bus, and and going from city to city. And the crew I'm with is different than it has been in the past. So a couple people are the same. Sean, our audio guy, our sound guy, is there, and he's, I don't know how old he is, maybe 35, big, burly guy, but sweetest little teddy bear of a vegan, raw food guy. It's fun because you walk into a bar with him and you feel safe, but he's the last person that's going to fight anybody. So if the shit goes down, you're going to have to look at me to handle it. But great guy. Cody, I've told you about, he's a terrific guy. And then there's this other kid, I'll call him kid out of love, who does merch. He's got to be in his 20s, right? The rest of the crew, the other 7 are women. The executive producer is, I think, 40, maybe, 38, 39. But everyone else running the show are average age 25 and women. And I adore them. And what is phenomenal for me to watch is I've been touring with these game shows, Price is Right and Wheel of Fortune, for 20 some odd years. This is the first tour that there has been zero drama. Like, there's no attitude, no drama, no problems, just always love and competence, like incredibly competent and confident leaders. Because what's fun to watch, I may have even posted a video of this on my Instagram, is we pull into a city and we've got a semi-truck full of gear and sets and all that stuff. And we have like 18 to 20 local union hands, workers that are going to help us set up and run the show. They're usually, average age can be 20 to 60. They've seen every show, every rock band that comes through. They're out there smoking cigarettes and, what are we in for today? And then our crew of 20-something women, young women, who look 15 because they all look so young, have to now command them to get this done. And watching them work has been a lesson to me. They've been phenomenal. And so just a shout out that if I've got to share 3 weeks on the road, sleeping on a bus, this is the crew that I'm happy to be a part of. And I have found that I'm just like, I'm in the bus lounge, just dad vibes, like constantly dad guy, which, I think is the role I've been growing into lately. So I started a tour. I was in Niagara Falls. I was there for 5 days. Have you ever been?
No.
Caitlin?
No.
I have been to Buffalo and to the Niagara Falls area on the state side, our side. I have not been to the Canadian side. First of all, when I crossed the border, it was the middle of the night. I was the only one at the border crossing. I go in, they give you the grilling and the whole thing. And I said to the woman at the border, I said, "Do you mind if I stay?" Ha. And she, without a beat, looks up and says, "We get that a lot now." So it was really interesting that Canadians were responding to us Americans like the school nurse. Like, bless your heart, you got a fever. Yeah. Let me hold you for a second. It was incredible, this compassion they had for any people from the States. It was just kind of like, I know you're living through hell, and, we love you. I know you don't mean it when you say mean things about us. That kind of vibe was really over the top. I mean, the people of Canada are a pretty special breed of people, and Niagara Falls does not disappoint. So I did the whole thing. I was full-on tourist, like in the poncho, the rain poncho, and I'm on the boat that Jim Carrey was on when he did Bruce Almighty, Made of the Mist, and all that stuff. So we did all that. That was great. And then bus ride to Ontario, another place in Ontario, and then we were in Windsor, Canada, and then we crossed the border again and back through the States. Couple shout-out cities. Here's a city you never think about. That's fucking awesome. Davenport, Iowa. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I've been to Iowa many times. I've been to Cedar Rapids. I've been to different cities, and I've had a good experience. It's not like it's bad. I've rarely had a bad experience. A couple places like West Virginia, there are a couple places that I've been to that were so horribly depressed that it hurt my soul. But Iowa was surprising. We're in Davenport, Iowa. We had a day off, and I'm kind of like, what's here? And I'm telling you, there's a cigar bar in this corner. There's an Irish pub on this corner. We went to a mead bar. You ever been Do you know what mead is?
Is that like beer?
It's kinda. It's honey wine. You use where in beer making you use barley and hops and different grains to ferment into beer. This you ferment with yeast and honey. So the first taste tastes like wine, then it gets a honey flavor, got a little beer flavor. It was really interesting. So hung out there. Anyway, Davenport was great. The tour was great. I had a great time. Saw lots of fans of the show of Temptation Island. Was kind of blown over by some of the responses. I had one group of girls, young women, come up to me after the show. I usually wait till the show kind of clears, and then I'll come down and thank the people who've been on the show for playing. And if there's any stragglers around, they want to take a picture, I'm down. And she comes up to me, like beeline to me. Can we take a picture? I'm like, sure. And then she grabs my shoulders and she says, you make me cry. And then she started crying. And I'm used to women saying that to me. But this was in a different context. So that meant a lot. It was really great to meet some people and hear their take on Temptation Island and stuff like that. I'm going back out, and I meant to look up the cities to tell you where I am. I'm going to start in California. I'm going to end up in New Jersey. So go to wheeloffortunelive.com. I'll be doing shows from November 6th to November 25th, I think. So go to wheeloffortunelive.com and come to the show. And then if you're coming to the show to see Wheel of Fortune Live, but you want to meet me, just hit me up. You know, send me a DM or something. And I read them pretty religiously. So if you're there, I'd love to come down and take a picture and hang out. So do that. All right. Now, next thing is, Kaylin, I'm going out of town again.
Yeah.
I'm going to New York, and then I'm going on tour.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to New York because and I assume it's live, on November 3rd, everybody, tune in to MSNBC Morning Joe, because I will be a guest with one of our guests from the podcast, Jeff Hiller, who just won the Emmy.
Yeah.
And June Squibb, who's on fire. She's 90-some-odd years old and on fire right now, both of whom are in this movie I'm in, Lost and Found in Cleveland. And this is a plug for the movie. Lost and Found in Cleveland is this beautiful kind of Christmassy vibe, family film, sweet as sugar, and it's coming out in theaters November 7th. So I actually looked up to see if it was playing in our area, and it's actually playing in movie theaters like a movie.
Oh,
like,
wow.
for real. So check that out, Lost and Found in Cleveland, and I will be in New York to be on MSNBC to promote it. And then that night, they're screening it as part of the Tribeca Film Festival, I guess, and I'll be on a panel there with some other people who've been in the show. But to remind you, it's Martin Sheen, it's Dennis Haysbert, who you remember from State Farm commercials, I think, or Allstate, State Farm, I don't remember. But
he was also in Navy SEALs with my dad.
He was in Navy SEALs with your dad.
Yeah.
And he was, of course, Serrano in Major League, which is one of my favorites. But he's been in a million things. Played the president. He's great. June Squibb, Stacey Keach. My scenes are with John Lovitz. He's hysterical in it. Loretta Devine, you may know her. She's in it. Dot Marie Jones, who you know from Glee, she's in it. So it's a pretty fun little romp of a movie. So check that out. Because I'm a movie star now, I'd like to be treated as such. Now, while I've been on the road, Kaylin Bean, I have made a commitment that I was going to attempt to continue writing a book. So the commitment I made before I went was that I'm going to spend an hour a day writing every day while I'm on the road. I'd like for you to ask me how I did with that commitment.
How did your commitment go?
3 days. 3 days, and I'm sitting there
Better
writing.
than zero.
It's better than zero. Thank you, Mr. Positive.
Yeah.
I didn't like what I was writing. I think what started happening was I started writing, and then this happened to me, and then this happened to me, and then this happened to me, and it was basically my career. And I wasn't talking about the stuff that really matters to me or to you, quite frankly, you guys. So I think there's going to be a lot that I've written. And by the way, so that we're clear on this, I've written 55,000 words on this one sort of autobiographical story that also the intent is to say, you know, you guys see me on TV saying these things. Where did I learn this stuff? Where did it come from, since I don't have a degree or anything? That was the intent, but I kind of lost my way because I had no structure. Can you imagine? I didn't have any structure. I didn't do any homework. I know that's a shock to you because I'm such a researcher. I say facetiously. And then I have another book which is almost, as I looked at it this morning, is almost a complete book. It's 170 pages that I just wrote and never looked at. And that was based out of this keynote I was booked to do. I was booked to do you know what a keynote is? Is you go to a big conference and somebody speaks for 45 minutes on a topic. It's supposed to help you, usually it's a business, tools for business you can use. And I got booked to do one, and the title was The Power of Connection, because somebody said to me, David Nurse, actually, who has a great podcast, David Nurse, who is he coached NBA stars how to shoot, but he's really a deep thinker and an incredible guy. David Nurse, check him out, davidnurse.com. Really terrific guy. But he's the one who said to me when I was trying to figure out what to talk about, he said, well, your thing is connection. That's what you do, is connect people. And I said, okay, I can go with that. So I did this 45-minute talk on connection. And then I wrote basically this talk. I started writing about, I did like 10 chapters about the power of connection, living in 3 levels, that the first thing you need to do before you can make any connection with anybody else is connect to your authentic self, which I've talked about here quite a bit. Get in touch with who you are. And then the next thing is how to make connections with people. What's the difference between an encounter with somebody and an actual connection with somebody, and how that grows. And the third one is sort of the universal connection of realizing that there is something bigger than you that connects us all, like this network of energy. That's why I refer to God, or I refer to higher power. For me, I call it the vibe, because it's not gender specific. It's not embodied, animated like a human. Kaylin, you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I like to think of that spirituality as just a vibe that we are all a part of. And so that connection. So I've written this whatever. And then I looked at it, I'm like, that might be a whole book already. So, okay, cool. So I'm going to put that on the shelf. But now what I'm doing is I'm going back to square one with this, my life story in book form, but with more of a structure of what I think you guys want to hear from me. And I asked ChatGPT, what do you think? I said, take a look at, don't laugh at me, okay? I'm a boomer. This is how I talk to ChatGPT, and maybe I'm right on in line. But I said, look at some of the media that's been written about me as best you can.
As best you can.
I said that to ChatGPT. And I think I condescended to ChatGPT. I gave him a pat on the head, or her. And I said, based on what you've learned about me, what do you think my audience wants to hear from me? And it spit out a whole bunch of stuff. And so there are 3 areas that it said. And one is relationship stuff, obvious.
Yeah.
Parenting stuff, which I was surprised to see, because I don't talk about that much. I guess I do. And then life lessons, right? And so then exploring it further, some people advised me, said those are 3 different books, not the same book, because I tend to overdo. So I wrote down, and here's where we'll play a game coming up. I started writing down chapter headings, because I figured the best thing for me to do is, this is, by the way, foreign to me, but what you've been urging me to do, Kaylin, is called doing a little homework before you show up to do anything. So I did it for about 13 minutes. And I wrote down what I thought would be good chapter titles, knowing that if I had a chapter title, I could sit and write an essay about that would end up being a chapter. So I'm going to read some of them to you. And you listeners and viewers out there, I want you to send me messages saying which one of these chapter headings I read you'd like to hear me talk about on a podcast, because I think what I'm going to do is work out these chapters with you guys and then write them later, because I've done the math, and the number of people that are subscribed to my podcast compared to population of the world, I think we could talk about it. It's a pretty exclusive conversation we're having. So here's a couple things that I'm working on. I'm going to do a topic today. I want to do one of these today. I'll tell you which one I'm going to do. But one of them I want to talk about, and some of these I've already talked about. I want to talk about the concept of C's get degrees. That I think in relationships sometimes, especially when you're turning 30, getting into the 30s, that you start feeling the thump of time. And so you start saying, well, this guy or this girl checks some boxes, but not all boxes. And C's get degrees, so let's just pass the class. And then you end up 50 years old, drinking wine at 11 and banging your tennis coach. So that's not going to work out good. So C's get degrees. I have some feelings about that. This is another one I love. And this is a paraphrase of a Maya Angelou quote. When someone shows you who they truly are, believe them. Okay? So what that's about is you're living your life every day disappointed by your partner because you're wishing they would behave a certain way that they're never going to behave because you're not seeing who they actually are. So that's that. This is a fun one. It's a cute little title. This one's called Get Your Shit Together. No reaction at all from you, Galen. I thought that was my cutest one. Get your shit together. Meaning, I've seen so many people, and this applies more to people who are looking at relationships later in life, 30, 40, 50 years old. And so many people have said, I don't want to get in a relationship right now. I want to get my shit together first. I want to get my career going, my house, my money, and then relationship. And my argument is, don't wait to get your shit together before you get in a relationship. Get in a relationship and get your shit together. See how clever that was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks. You're unimpressed. I'm literally so codependent on your approval that I need to do a topic on that. We've talked about this a lot. I want to do one on the agreement of intimacy, what happens when you're vulnerable first, what's created in connection there. I think that's great. This one's great. I didn't ask for a solution. That's a good topic. People don't want you to fix them. They want you to see them. Today I'm going to talk about this one, curating a valuable collection in your life. And I don't have a lot of time, so I should just get to that. I'll do about 15 minutes on that, maybe 20. I know, I got to go. The other one is you're not broken, you're human. That's my favorite. You're not broken, you're human. The things about you say are broken are the things about you that a partner will find purpose in. It's a gift you're giving them for them to have purpose in helping you through the things that you have blind spots to. It's a really beautiful thing if you get into it. So that's a chapter. Treat her like a dog we've talked about here. Yep. That's fun. Take her for walks, pet her. Buy her treats, things like that. This is a good one. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Good one, right?
Yeah.
I did. Are you proud of me?
I'm running through all these, and I named one of our podcasts that title. I named one of our podcasts.
Did you?
Title. I named one of our podcasts. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
I think I got that from looking back at our podcasts, and you are the one who's named them. So okay, so now I got to put you down as co-author. This one's fun. I got this from my brother-in-law. He tells it to me all the time. Not Buddell Gary, but Spiritual Roger. Quit the job you weren't hired to do. Do you understand what I mean by that? There are things you're doing in your life with your partner that you think you need to do to help them, but nobody asked you to fucking do it. And at the end of the year, you don't get a W-2 for the work that you've done. Like no one asked you to. It's basically the guy with the stapler in Office Space who still thinks he works there.
Yeah.
And nobody gives a fuck. That's us. We do jobs we shouldn't do. This one's from Morgan. It's about resistance and acceptance. He's a military guy. This came out of a story I will tell. But quit. If you can't get out of it, get into it. Fucking great. We've talked about that before.
I named one of our podcasts.
Yeah, okay, good. All right. Jesus Christ.
You can give Morgan the writing credit for that.
Yeah,
one,
and then this one I've talked about a lot, the gap between what you wish. This is sort of the same as when they show you who they are, believe them. But there's a gap we live in, which is the gap between what we wish was true and what is true. And from a personal standpoint, from a career standpoint, life standpoint, as soon as you, without judgment or upset about it, cop to this is who I am right now, it gives you space to create something new. And this one, I think we're getting towards the end, which will be the end chapters, is the switchboard. I call this electric switchboard that on the left are all these switches and all these things are labeled I'm thinking like a fuse box of things in your life you'd like to fix. Love, relationship, health, comedy, I want to write a book, whatever those switches are. And you keep turning them on, but you turn so many of them on and then some of them trip, like the fuse breaks, and you can't seem to get all of them going at the same time because you're not looking up at the top of the fuse box. There are two switches that matter. One is acceptance and one is resistance. And anything you resist is going to cripple you. So that's that. And then the last one I want to talk about is called Be a Mushroom, which I love. Mm-hmm. When you start learning about mycelium is the network that goes throughout the entire world of when we see mushrooms at the fruit of this organism called mycelium. It's just the fruit of it that pops up. But the organism itself is a network of communication throughout the entire universe, tree, plant, everything. So it shows up in forests where if a tree on this end of a 1,000-mile forest gets sick, the mycelium tells other trees there's an illness, so change your, make sure you protect against it. So it just speaks to there is a bigger connection that we all have. And when you see mushrooms now, know that that's the fruit of that connectivity instead of the gross thing that is there. We look at it and go, ugh. But in fact, that's a reminder that, oh, shit, underneath us at all times is something that's connecting us all. And so be a mushroom. Be the fruit of connection. So those are my topics. If any of those were like, I want to hear more about that, then send me a message. And if I've just said all of them enough for you, then send me a message saying you covered them all now. Go write the book. So I want to talk about curating a valuable collection with the time I have left with you. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this was born out of an essay I wrote that you can read. If you search What I Learned on Antiques Roadshow Huffington Post, you'll get an essay that I wrote that ended up on the Huffington Post by mistake. All right. And this is something I also like to talk about, that there are things working in your life that you're not in control of that are for your best interest. And sometimes you just have to jump into those things. So I wrote this thought I had about when I was doing Antiques Roadshow. I wrote this essay. And I sent it to my friend Roy Seekoff, who at the time was the founding editor of Huffington Post. But I respect him as a writer and who he is. And I asked him for notes. And he wrote me back and said, I'm publishing it on Monday on the front page of the Huffington Post. I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't ready for that. I didn't even proofread it. But it went and it got some great response. Here's what I wrote. I hosted Antiques Roadshow for 11 years, something like that, maybe 14. I don't know, altogether. And people always ask me, what do I know about antiques? And I can tell you at the end of having done all that time, the only thing I know about antiques is that I don't own anything valuable. But what I did learn is that the same criteria that these appraisers and experts use to assess and assign value to items, which is like when you see it, you're like, why is this more valuable than that? Why? How? They're basically four things. Rarity, is it rare? That obviously adds value. I'll tell you why. Authenticity, is it what it says it is, or is it a fake? Condition, right? If a piece of furniture's got scratches and breaks on it, cuts on it, it may be less valuable, but it also may be more valuable because of that. We'll talk about that. And then the last one is a word called provenance or provenance, which is basically what that means is when talking about antiques or collectibles, what is the historic importance of this piece? The best way to describe that is if you got a letter from Abraham Lincoln, it has value. But if it's a letter that says, I'd like to get 2 tickets to the Ford Theater for Friday night, where he was assassinated, that has provenance. It has importance in history and would be far more valuable than the one saying, can you pick up my dry cleaning? Both Abraham Lincoln letters. So that's what that is. So I tried to look at what have I learned? Well, I've learned that the same thing that you use to assess value in collectibles and antiques, you can use in assessing value in relationship and life. I'll show you what I mean. rarity. So when something is rare, not always the case, but often it's more valuable. If there are less of them in the world, less chance for people to experience it. It has a phenomenon about it. It has some interest in it that can drive the value up. So where does that live in our life? And by the way, the ultimate goal here is to have a collection of things, in this situation, in this metaphor, a collection of relationships that, rather than sitting on the shelf gathering dust or costing you money to maintain, they're going to grow in value the longer you hold on to them. And so our job in life and relationship is to curate a collection that's going to grow in value, which means hold close those things that have value to us and get rid of those people that aren't valuable to us and, more importantly, may be costing us emotionally to maintain that relationship. Okay? That's kind of deep. That to curate a collection doesn't mean to collect everything. It means you got to get rid of some stuff to make room for the stuff that actually has value. So rarity, where does that live? How do we assess or value rarity, the concept of rarity in relationship? Well, certain behavior is rare and valuable. So when you have a relationship with someone who reaches out to you without you asking to see if you're okay, that's not common behavior. That's rare behavior, and it's valuable. When you do things outside of your comfort zone and you take a chance on something, that's rare behavior, and there's value to that. So you can look at your interactions with other people and how you react to things that come up to you with, are you doing a common thing or are you doing a bold or rare experience in this situation that could reward you with value in the future? And that's how I like to look at rarity when I look at my friends. I'm like, when I was sick recently, there were people that showed up in my life, not just showed up, hey, how you doing, but showed up really supporting me. Like, not just, hey, just checking in, haven't heard from you, you're okay, but literally like making sure I was okay. That's rare. And those people stay in my cabinet, in my collectible cabinet. And the ones who forgot to check in, it's costing me money to keep them around, so I'm getting rid of them. Authenticity, I talk about all the time. I talk about it on the TV show. I talk about it all the time. But in collectibles, it's a really big thing. And it's the thing that I want you to get out of this is that rare authenticity is a palpable experience. You can feel it and taste it and see it even if you're not an expert. And I'll tell you what I mean. I'll put two chairs in front of you, okay? One is a priceless antique from the Elizabethan era or something, right? And one is a copy of that style of chair from IKEA. If you sit in both of them, they perform the function they're designed for. So when you buy the IKEA chair, it's going to do exactly what you need it to do. When you sit down, it will hold you, right? But in 6 months, that chair is not going to have any more value. It'll have less value, actually, than it had when you bought it. But the realness of the original piece, the original design, the one on the right that comes from that era, there's a weight about it. There's a lack of trying to prove to you that it's real that makes it even more real. It's an understanding that this thing is undeniably what it is, whether you recognize it or not. Doesn't need you to say it. It just is being it, right? And that chair has value that anyone, even if you're not an expert, can tell when you look at it, when you touch it, when you see the, I'm going to use all the words from the show, but when you see the patina on it, you see the craftsmanship, you're like, oh, there's something. Why am I drawn to this more than this? Well, because there's authenticity. And when you, as a human, present yourself in a fully, transparently authentic manner, you become far more valuable to others. And when you have in your life people who are authentically who they are, and let me just be clear, that doesn't mean nice. If they're authentically an asshole, It's refreshing. See, Caitlin, it's okay. You can be exactly who you are. I'm kidding. You're a sweetheart. But when people are who they are, when they're authentically who they are, there's value in that. And the value lies in knowing that when you ask a question, you get an answer, it's going to be an honest answer. Knowing that when they are there to support you, they're not doing it transactionally. They're doing it because they're just being real. This is a value. These are the people you keep in your collection that will add to your value, your worth, your net worth of life, of relationship will grow when you are the curator of authenticity in your own life, but the collector of authentic relationships, authentic, real, raw, no bullshit relationships. Huge. So we've covered rarity. We've covered authenticity. Condition. I was really struggling with how does this apply to, value in relationship and love and stuff like that. Well, what it means in antiques is you have two muskets from the Revolutionary War, and they're the exact same thing. But this one has what they call pitting, which is like little rusty kind of holes along the barrel, and it has scratches and stuff on the stock. And this one still has some of the bluing. It's on gunmetal. There's a bluish tint. It's called bluing. That's still on this one. This one's far more valuable than this one. Why is it more valuable? Why does condition change the value of things? Because things that people have protected and taken care of over centuries or decades speaks to anyone who's come in contact with this authentic thing has recognized its importance and has taken care of it. It mattered enough for someone not to ruin it. Right? So, in relationship, the ones that we take care of, that we handle with the white gloves to make sure that we don't break or mar or ruin the relationship, the care we give it, the protection of the condition of the relationship adds value to it. Those relationships are the ones that mean more. And you do it naturally with your kids and your wife, and you care about what's going on in their life, and it matters. But in our casual relationships that we keep in our lives, the ones that we care more about, that we show care about, that we don't allow time to pass without checking in on them, that we put them before us in our concern, that's called condition. That's care. That's showing more care, kid gloves around that relationship because of the value of that relationship. Those are the ones that when you ask yourself, who do I check in with all the time? Those are the people you keep in your cabinet. And then just to wrap it up, the last thing, I love this one the most, is provenance. We talked about provenance, whatever, which is the importance something has in history. And it's usually used when we talk about antiques and collectibles as something that reflects on the past. What importance has this item had, right, that makes it valuable today? Okay? But I like to use it as a challenge for us as we make new connections today moving forward. So, here's what I mean about that. When you meet somebody, that's an encounter. It's not a connection. And most of them, hey, how you doing? Have a nice day. Thanks for my coffee, whatever. They have no value. And they don't last. You won't remember who they are the next day. You hear my stomach growling? I'm starving. Did you hear that?
No.
Okay, well, good.
But now we all know anyway.
Yeah, thank you. I'm hungry for knowledge. Those relationships come and go all day long, and we don't, it's the butcher, it's whoever we run into at the checker at the grocery store. It doesn't matter. There is no importance. But what we haven't considered is that we get to choose that. So I always talk about people want to be seen and they want to be heard. So when you're having an encounter, an acquaintance, a passing with someone, a bumping into, you have the choice right then to decide if it's just an encounter, if it's the IKEA chair, that it works for whatever this transaction is, but it doesn't have value beyond that? Or is it the beginning of a historical importance that you've created? A connection that's going to grow in value the more you add to it, the more you take care of it, the more you keep it safe, right? And so it happens all the time. And you meet somebody and you don't understand why. There's a connection and you guys become friends, right? And now that meeting you had, which is your story of your origin story, adds in value and depth as it goes on beyond this point. But do you realize that with anyone you meet, you can start it that way? You can not let it be casual by being with them fully. When you meet somebody and you're like, okay, so you can play the game of asking yourself, why did the vibe put this person in my life today? Why did you cross? And I say this all the time. When weird things happen, I miss a turn or my car breaks down or something happens and I find myself having some conversation with somebody that would have never been in my life had it not been for these certain circumstances that come down the line that put me in this room, I usually take a moment and go, I'm excited to hear why the universe decided we're supposed to meet today. What lessons are you here to teach me? Because everybody you meet has a lesson to teach you, but you forget that you're trying to learn. We forget that we're students. So you never graduate, but we often forget to realize we're still in school. So people show up, we go, that was weird, and then we go on to our, drive through Jack in the Box and go home and forget about it, instead of going, wait a minute, that was weird. What's there to learn here? What's the historical importance that's going to unfold the more I invest into this relationship, right? That's going to pay me in knowledge, pay me in growth, pay me with emotional intelligence. And then, as you look at these four things that I've laid out to you, rarity, authenticity, rarity of behavior, authenticity of soul, right? Condition, how much you care for the things that matter, where you put your care. And finally, the historical relevance of the relationship as it moves forward. You'll look at your life like you would look at a china cabinet and look at all the relationships that are constant and still in your life. And you'll see that you've curated this collection that's adding value to you every single day. And more importantly, and the scary part, what will then start to glare in your eyes are the people and relationships that we have and are working hard to maintain that are paying us nothing. In fact, costing us. And that's the hardest thing, is to say, thank you for sharing, but I no longer need your services anymore. I'm going to sell this, right? Because it's taking up space. And the more space it takes up, the more it costs you and devalues this valuable collection that when you're done on this planet, that collection is what's left. That's what got you here. That's what the value is of life. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. At 43 minutes, we did okay.
We did it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any thoughts you'd like to add?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
All right. Are you thinking about your collection at all?
Starting to.
You're starting to think more about who you want to get rid of, aren't you? I'm glad, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, when I run into you guys who have listened to the podcast. I had somebody, I went out to the audience, I'll close with this. I went out to the audience, which I do on the show while we're resetting something, go, hey, you guys got any questions or anything out of the audience? And I was in Canada somewhere, in Windsor, I think, and I see a hand go up in the back, and I said, yeah, what's your question? She says, how's Goldie? And I'm like, how do you know Goldie? She says, no, I listened to your podcast. And I almost broke down in tears. So that's how important you are to me. Know that you guys who listen and you comment and are part of my lives in this manner, you're part of my collection, right? This is our provenance. This is our historical importance of relationship. If there's something I said that lands for you and it changes your life in a positive way, that's us having that connection, right? And I never take it lightly. I'm very, very grateful. And on that note of gratitude, I will say my signature sign-off, which is, I guess I'll see you next time, because I'm going to go get a haircut. All right, Kalen?
Yep.
All right. Send us emails are at bonfiretalkspodcast@gmail.com, at Bonfire Talks Podcast at all the places you get your podcasts. But, of course, you know this because you're watching this right now or listening to it. But send us messages. Tell me what topics you like. Tell me what you think, even if you disagree, so that I can be right in telling you that you're wrong, because that's something I need to work on. All right, that's it. We're out. Love you. Goodbye.